How is everyone doing today? And in this video, we are going to be talking about if you should summon for Lingsha, or do you really need Lingsha? A little different from the video I usually do, where I talk about all the reruns and all the characters around Lingsha's release, where I've done the things you should consider. Go ahead and watch that if you haven't already. But in this video, I'm going to be giving you the yes and no's in regards to some of the qualities you might be looking for, some of the things you might need to avoid when maybe going for Lingsha, just because if you already have a certain amount of factors towards your account, it's going to be diminishing returns in getting Lingsha or not. Now, it depends specifically which characters you have on your account that is going to make it worth pulling for Lingsha, but this is to minimize the amount of jades we're spending on characters that we possibly don't need for the characters we might want in the future. So, of course, there's one thing that we need to look at specifically, and that is that Lingsha is a sustain, and with sustain being abundance and also preservation, we're going to see that there are two different types of characters that we're going to be looking at, which are those that give shields, like someone like Aventurine, like someone like Pseudo Fushun, and then we also have the healers that are doing absolutely amazing right now, which are going to be something like REHOO, something like Luocha, and of course Lingsha is going to be that healer. Now, there are two different things that we do need to talk about right now as a sustain that is very important to have, or very important to know when you are pulling for them, is that realistically you only ever need 2 sustains on your account that are 5 stars, just to be able to cover the bases of I want to play MOC, I want to play Pure Fiction, I want to play Apocalyptic Shadow, and I don't want to worry about dying. And for the most part, a lot of these sustains can get it done. Even characters like Japard and also Bailu are technically able to be able to clear the end games of the mode, especially if you have a well-built team and just tack them on to the end. It's really dependent on the type of team you're using or the type of team that you're trying to build, that having these extra characters are going to help you out quite a bit. Something like REHOO is able to help out energy intensive teams and give really good buffs. Someone like Aventurine is able to help out follow-up attacks and also had an impenetrable shield. And then we're also looking at Luocha, who's able to attack multiple times because not only of his basic attack and SP nature, but you also are able to use his ultimate, which can strip buffs and also hit the whole field, which can help in certain cases when we are dealing with certain teammates. So there's a lot of really cool stuff that these sustains can do, but for the most part, realistically, if you have 2 5-star sustains, there kind of isn't really a reason to go ahead and pull for another one, because at that point you're most likely going to be benching one of those sustains regardless. I haven't used Luocha in such a long time. I haven't used Fushun in such a long time. Same thing goes for REHOO. Same thing goes for Lynx, for Japard, Bailu, Natasha. All of these guys don't get used for the most part. And it really does suck that there's not a lot of really use cases for them, especially when you are already building the team that you are, which are Fei Xiao using something like Aventurine, and then Acheron, let's say, using something like Gallagher, or even having a character like, actually, who do I run Acheron with when it comes to sustain? I guess Aventurine just gets used by everybody, but Aventurine, REHOO, and Gallagher are usually the top 3 sustains that are out at the moment for the specific teams that they are on. Aventurine is just a really good general pick. Same thing for REHOO, and then Gallagher is an S tier pick for the break team, which of course is the direct competition to Lingsha. So realistically, for the first factor is that, do you already have 2 5-star sustains? If you do, a little bit less likely that you would want to pull on Lingsha, just for the fact that you're going to be benching one of them for the most part, especially when you already have 2 very well built teams. Now, you can have more teams built, of course. That's the fun part about the game, that you're able to build different archetypes, have different styles of play, and of course Lingsha would work definitely on that team. But then going on to our next factor, we're going to be talking about Gallagher, which has been an absolutely amazing character to bring out into the break team, just because of all that he's able to do, especially with being able to give more break damage, being able to self-heal the team basically with his own ultimate, being able to allow the teammates to heal themselves when hitting a character with Besotted, which you are going to be doing to the whole entire wave of enemies, which is a pretty big deal as well. So he's overall a really great character. He can be SP positive, he can cleanse once he's at E2, he has really high super break damage potential, especially at E6, because he does give his own weakness break efficiency. So realistically, someone like Gallagher is a really good pickup for the break team, and that is definitely the competition that Lingsha is fighting. Is that, are we going to be picking up a brand new 5-star, or are we going to be pulling Gallagher or using the Gallagher we already have on our team to be able to fulfill what she's going to be doing? And realistically, she can. The break team is just so strong right now that realistically there's not a lot of enemies that are going to make it hard for someone like Firefly, for someone like Boo Hill, to be able to worry if their health is going to go down by quite a bit because they break them so fast. And having someone like Gallagher who is able to not only heal the whole team, being able to allow other allies to heal themselves, having a cleanse, you really have the all-in-one package for Gallagher, and he's just a really great sustain overall with a lot of healing potential and a lot of off-field healing, a lot of off-field damage that he can do when it comes to the break damage he's getting off of his ultimate, with his basics, all the different type of stuff. A lot of really good stuff that comes from Gallagher. So realistically, looking at the 2 5-star sustains, do you have them? If you do, most likely lowering the chance of you getting Lingsha. Same thing goes for Gallagher. Gallagher is still such a great unit, able to perform in MOC 12, able to perform in Pure Fiction 4. Same thing goes for Apocalyptic Shadows. Able to do all of it without a doubt, and it's a really cool thing to see. Don't worry about the Luocha icon. You see, I was moving stuff around, have to move it around since the PvP I had with Starro, but for the most part, Gallagher's still such a great unit. And regardless of the break team, I do think Gallagher can stay a staple in that team just because he provides so much for being a 4-star, and for the fact that he's a 4-star, it's a little bit easier to grab those copies up in comparison to something like Lingsha, where you do have to summon and hopefully win the 50-50, and then if you want to go for the light cone, you go for the light cone. If not, you have to go all the way up until you pull Lingsha. So there are some pros and cons to going against Gallagher with Lingsha. Now, of course, Lingsha does have a lot more healing inner kit and can also cleanse the full team off field, which is a pretty cool thing. The only problem is I do feel like the healing you get from Lingsha is very, very overkill, especially when, like I said, you're basically breaking these enemies instantly, not allowing them to attack, and you're slowing down the process of them attacking with something like Ruan-Mei and other factors with that as well, that all the healing that Lingsha does really doesn't get put into what her role is for the most part. Realistically, if you're pulling for Lingsha, you're most likely running something like Firefly, which is the majority of the time is going to be on, which is Firefly's team, because of her technique where she's able to implant fire. You're able to make it easy to break the whole team or the whole wave, and you're not only doing that, you're also doing a nasty amount of super break as well with healing. But I do feel like the super break damage realistically that Lingsha gives is pretty substantial, isn't needed for the most part. I do think realistically that Firefly, Ruan-Mei, HMC, Gallagher is definitely a team that's able to speed run through its way easily through a lot of the content in the game without having someone like Lingsha. Now, am I saying Lingsha is bad? The fact that I'm saying things about the 2 5-star sustains, comparing him to Gallagher, not in any way, shape, or form. I do think if you really love Firefly, if you love the break team without a doubt, then yeah, go ahead and get Lingsha. It's going to be a pretty big step up versus Gallagher when you are using this team specifically, which is Firefly's team. Now, Lingsha does have a little bit more viability when it comes to different teams. She can also work on other characters like Fei Xiao because she can follow up attack. She's able to give those extra stacks off for someone like Fei Xiao, helping her get her ultimate. And you also have the team-wide cleanse and also have the team-wide heal, which is a pretty big deal and a pretty cool thing as well. So right now, there is some versatility when it comes to Lingsha. But realistically, if you are pulling her, you're pretty much going to have her on the Firefly team. Now, there is one thing I do want to say before we leave that off with talking about Lingsha with Gallagher, the 2-5 sustains, especially when you're looking at a sustains. Preservation class, for the most part, is the name of the game when it comes to sustains, because right now, something like Aventurine, he's God tier, basically is unable to get your team knocked out. Fu Xuan for the longest time was the same way. She has fallen a little bit with how crazy the damage has been going for the moment. And then for the abundance path, we do gotta remember with every single one of these sustains besides Ho-Ho, because I think Ho-Ho has just been an absolute monster, not because of her sustain, but realistically because of her energy and attack boost, which is a really big thing for the teams, that characters like Luocha, characters like Lynx, Bailu, Natasha, you do have the chance of getting KO'd of your team, just because preservation stops the one shot, abundance can't. So that is something to talk about when looking at something like preservation versus abundance when Lingsha is coming to the field. But realistically, the last thing I do want to talk about when it comes to the break team, and if you should pull Lingsha to get a better break team, I do think we are on the horizon of a brand new break support, because realistically, when you look at the break team, what do we have? We have Buhil, we have Firefly. Those are our DPSs. We have something like Ruan-Mei, who is going to be our best in slot support for break because she gives break effect, she gives speed, all that different type of stuff. A lot of really good stuff for the break team in whole that allows them to shine, especially with that delay, which is a pretty big thing for the team, allowing super break to happen a lot more often than not if Ruame was not on the team. And then we have Lingsha / Gallagher. Gallagher is almost to the point where he is a 5-star, and Lingsha is our actual official 5-star for the break team. So what is left for this team to be able to improve? Well, the last slot that hasn't been filled since its release is a new super break support. And this is a pretty big deal realistically. I do think once we get our premium super break support, characters like Boohill, characters like Firefly are going to skyrocket in power, just because I do think that's going to be a pretty big boost. Because right now, there could be a lot of stuff that this character could do, especially a premium version of a super break support, like giving super break, like giving more break effect, like giving an advance forward, giving some type of delay for the enemies if they get broken by this character, having a follow-up attack or something like that that does a lot of toughness damage when characters are broken. There's a lot of really crazy stuff that technically could happen with a super break support that would help out characters like Boohill and characters like Firefly. I've made my suggestion with a character that is pretty similar in function to someone like Bronya, where she's able to have a character that she boosts up with her skill, get super break for like, let's say 3 turns or something like that, make it a little bit easier on the skill points, have super break for 3 turns. The super break is pretty high. Not only that, you get a break effect boost, and then for the skill as well, you get advanced forwarded. So there's a lot of things loaded up onto that skill that's something like Bronya has, equivalent to the crit damage and attack boost that she gives off with her skill and her ultimate, which is a pretty good thing. I do think this is a really nice way to buff out break if we model it similar to the ultimate and skill that someone like what's it called, Bronya has. So having something like super break support that is similar to Bronya would be really cool. If not, any other type of support that would give, let's say, energy to help out Boohill, or I don't know, there's a lot of stuff that they could do with a premium super break support. I think that specifically would be a lot better than getting Lingsha on the account, realistically, because I do think that would be a huge step up versus the abundant sustain that we are getting for break when Gallagher is here and doing as good as he is. So right now, there's a lot of factors that are swaying in the direction of not pulling for Lingsha. Am I saying she's bad? Definitely not. I do think she's a really good partner for Firefly without a doubt, and I'm definitely pulling Lingsha myself. But for those that are on the fence, those that want to know if they should be summoning on Lingsha or if they should wait and get a character that they think suits them themselves, when it comes to follow-up, when it comes to break with their brand new super break support that might come in the future, and even more so, the dot team hasn't gotten a update in such a long time. So there's definitely characters on the horizon that we're going to see buff out a bunch of different teams, but for right now, that's going to be it for this video. So other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. Always end the video. See y'all guys in the next one, and peace.